What's going on, guys? It's Jev. Not entirely sure what I'm gonna do today. I'm probably just spam the MK2, just have a good time, honestly. I have some clips from last night, but as I was clearing some files off of my computer, I accidentally deleted like more than half of all of the music that I use, so I don't feel like reacquiring said music, so we got some old tunes that I've been using for years anyway, so it's not really gonna make much of a difference. So yesterday, a lot of the reason why my video is getting traction is because at the end of it, I went on a tangent. Using the word tangent or rant makes it sound like I wasn't trying to articulate myself intelligently, at least in some way. I wasn't just yelling, I wasn't insulting, I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just basically trying to explain my thought process on what's going on with the game and how certain conditions in the game is causing the meta to be the way that it is. Unfun. A way that people just do not want to, they don't want to deal with the game. And in the video, I explained, you know, some of the things that I believe would help with the game or fix the game or whatever words you want to use. A lot of people sure love picking my words for me. Am I gonna blue screen again? I don't know what's been happening since this update, but the game is very, very unstable. I don't know what this is. Okay, there we go. We're good now, it's not frozen. That thing was frozen for a hang time of at least 15 seconds. That was insane. So Reddit ended up getting a hold of my video yesterday, which it's not always the worst thing in the world or anything like that. I saw a lot of really good discussion and everything. But again, I want to clarify. I don't want to be some sort of crazy spokesperson or something for the entire community. Just talking about how I'm feeling. I don't want to feel like I have the weight of an entire community sitting on my shoulders behind me like, yeah, he's right about everything. Because I'm not leading some charge against the studio. I again clarified that I think the game is great. It's just multiplayer that's having some issues. So I'm happy people went out of their way to, you know, agree with it and talk about it and everything. As long as it's a discussion, that's good. And also I want to clarify, people were thinking that my jab at streamers was an actual jab. Like I have a problem with what they're doing. I'm not talking about having a problem with what streamers are doing. I was more or less explaining in my head, think of it from the streamer's position, why would I go and play an inherently broken version of a game when especially my viewership doesn't even care about that and they would rather watch something else that is much easier, relaxing, and not as frustrating. That was the point I was trying to make. I'm not saying that all streamers that are playing this thing, you know, Warzone and not multiplayer are bad players. Given, do I believe that a lot of streamers will get destroyed on multiplayer? For sure. But they would learn. It's just about the fact that the game doesn't look attractive from that point of view. So why would you even try? I get it. Absolutely. I see all sorts of shit every single day where I go, nope. Not gonna bother doing that. Remember when Obsidian came out literally 2 days ago? You know what I said when people were implying that I was gonna actually do every single gun in the game? I said, nope, ain't doing that shit. It's exactly what streamers do with multiplayer. Why even bother? And then some other people were like, oh, well, Warzone is just that much better. Why not just quit multiplayer altogether? This is how I've known Call of Duty for the entirety of my life, all the way up until, you know, they started releasing BRs, which is really not that long ago. BR is still, to me, a relatively new thing. I know people that play, you know, Fortnite and other things want to act like 2 or 3 years is a long time because that virtually makes up a quarter of everyone that plays a game's life. But 2 to 3 years is not a long time. In gaming community standards, anyway. Also, people said that it's not a fair assumption to look at streaming numbers as whether something is alive or dead, and absolutely, I agree with that. For sure, 100%. There are plenty of strong communities out there that I know are not represented through streaming. Now, while I don't think that streaming numbers equals how active a community actually is, while I don't believe that, I do believe, however, that those numbers overall do, in a sense, affect how a game is viewed, at least. I'll see a game that is very clearly they have an active community, but because they don't have viewership on Twitch, they just assume that it's a dead game. It's just not true. And again, people keep trying to turn it into this, like, YouTuber versus streamer kind of thing. It's not that. It's that I literally will sit around all day and watch streamers as my television. I'm a Twitch viewer like a lot of people. And other people are like, oh, well, just go and post a game that you really enjoy playing right now, you know, that isn't Call of Duty. You know what I like playing when I'm not playing Call of Duty? MMORPGs. Do you really want to see me play an MMORPG? Do you really want to see me play World of Warcraft and try to make videos on World of Warcraft or Black Desert or Final Fantasy 14? Would you really like to see that? I don't think so. And in my head, I don't even want to make content on that kind of shit. I play that kind of stuff to just relax. PvP, PvE, raids, whatever. So again, I'd like to clarify, I have no issue against streamers whatsoever. I'm friends with a ton of streamers. And most of those guys, whenever they, you know, ended up seeing that video for one reason or another, they know what my intention was when I was saying that kind of shit. I was literally just explaining why would anybody want to put themselves through this when they could just play Warzone. It's also not like, oh yeah, he just knows that he wouldn't go and get views on some sort of game like this. It's more so, dude, I don't even know how I would even make a video on this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that it's not possible or there can't be, you know, entertaining WoW videos. That's not true at all. I've watched plenty of good WoW videos out there. Barney is just a quick example right there of somebody that produces World of Warcraft content that is well put together, but also entertaining all in one. The issue with MMORPGs is that certain events transpire over much longer periods of time that take time to, you know, add in storytelling and substance and stuff like that. This is immediate, in-your-face type of stuff where anything that's happening on the screen is engaging. Whereas on World of Warcraft, Black Desert, any MMO where I just sit there in a town hub or whatever, and then I go out into the wilderness and farm some stuff, or go into a, you know, a dungeon or a raid or whatever and farm some stuff, people, they don't understand. You can't stay caught up with it because they don't know why you're here. They don't know what you're there for. You need to explain why, and then why that is important. It is just down to a, you know, a base level. It is harder to understand than I left trigger, right trigger people, and boom, they all die, and look how neat it looks. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying they're definitely two different things, completely different. Oh, also they added in the Deadzone on this game. With that update that ended up coming out, they added a Deadzone for controllers as an option. So the fact that they're adding in more, you know, options for controller players is always good and nice. So anyway, Deadzone. So Deadzone is basically, go and look at the description here. It says Deadzone. Adjust the controller dead zone that represents the inner range in which stick input will not be registered. So basically, whenever you're moving your mouse, every single small little movement, you will be able to see that your mouse is moving to some degree. By default, there is a small amount of dead zone. You can move it ever so slightly like this. I'm moving it in a circle right now. Very, very lightly, I'm moving it in a circle, and nothing is moving on the screen. And that's very, very lightly. I'm telling you, I am touching this shit like I'm not trying to slightly compress a marshmallow. So in theory, a lot of people go and think, oh, well, if I adjust my sensitivity, having a dead zone would be kind of bad. Every single minor adjustment, I would love to have control over that. And some people do play that way on a controller, where they don't want any dead zone whatsoever. But by default, since I've been playing it for years, I'm going to assume the dead zone default anyway was around 0.20. At least that's the default here. Whenever we go to hit reset option to default, it starts at 0.20. Now my setting is 0.15. That's just because I wanted to feel a bit more responsive, but not that much more responsive. I'm not entirely comfortable with seeing every single movement of my stick. It's kind of similar to how I talked about how it felt kind of weird to see every single little movement whenever I was using mouse and keyboard. Now, in theory, yes, smaller adjustments are easier to make, but if you're not used to it, it will kind of feel a little strange. So I know some people that have a very, very small dead zone, and other people that left it default, other people that kind of have it in between. But for me, I have it at 0.15. You can play around with it if you want, but just know the lower and lower that this dead zone gets, the more and more sensitive that stick is going to feel. Therefore, it's going to feel like affecting your sensitivity in some way. Because when you're used to this whole thing where you decide to push over and you can time your 360s, it's going to throw you off because it's going to take that input in much quicker, and when you're letting go of the stick, it's not going to immediately snap back. It's going to feel every single little thing. And also, this does affect people that have some problems with like their sticks that are kind of broken, or they have like a drifting problem or whatever. You can turn your dead zone up so that small little broken drift that your controller has doesn't actually affect your aim anymore. You might have to readjust, but at least that'll compensate for, say, a messed up joystick. That's dead zone. For whatever reason, people were really confused about it, so that's also my setting for it. Some people are talking about how, like, yeah, this month is actually going to be, usually anyway, the reveal for the next Call of Duty. Treyarch and Infinity Ward have different ideologies and notions for how they balance games, and sometimes they clash back and forth about, you know, what is and isn't the best way to obviously build a game. And again, necessarily there isn't a right way, right? Because people would prefer all sorts of different games, but I guess people would consider the right as in the one that most people enjoy, I guess. Oh, it just sounds so exhausting trying to speculate on what they're gonna do with the Treyarch game, but Treyarch games are known to be a bit more, they're weirder in their own ways. They usually, mechanically, the game feels a bit more, I'm not gonna say they don't feel smooth, but they always feel a bit more clunky than Infinity Ward games. They're usually a bit more well-balanced, but then we got like really cringy shit that goes on, like what they sell on their stores and other shit that they were doing with Black Ops 4. It was just super cringe. So people have been using the word cringe as like an insult for the past few years. I had a video from like 2016, something where I made fun of the shit where everything was considered cringe. We still have a cringe issue. Everyone just uncontrollably cringes at everything. But no, those Black Ops 4 emotes were definitely really fucking cringe. See, at least when you see it on Fortnite, you know that the game doesn't even look like you should be taking it seriously. It's supposed to be goofy and wacky and all sorts of shit, so whatever it is that they do, it seems within its nature. Whereas on Black Ops 4, with this big bearded dude that's sitting there and then all of a sudden he wants to bust out a fucking dab and whip and nay-nay and shit. It's not the issue that they're actually just dancing. That's not the problem. It's the context in which they would be dancing and also the way that it looks. It looks weirdly stiff, robotic, and it's kind of weird to see like a 30-some-year-old soldier do this. Now, obviously, there are things that are considered OP in Treyarch games or whatever. It's not perfect.
Ow, Jev. Oh, please. Whoa. Not that. Oh, bro, this gets.
Stop coming back to me, man! Stop coming back! Now he's spawning over here. I ain't letting you kill me.
Oh my. Oh.
This dude really is coming back for the revenge shit. I don't know how many times you need to be spawn killed, but sheesh. Yeah, I've just been using the MK2 period, just, you know, chilling or whatever. It hasn't been nearly as frustrating as the AX50. I can make progress much, much faster. I've only used it for a few games, but I'm at, what, 37 of 125? So I definitely haven't played 37 games with this since the challenge came out. It's just being able to drop, you know, 50 plus every game at least. So, and if it's shipment, I mean, sometimes you could get 180 on average. Shit like that. So yeah, as far as the next Call of Duty that's coming out, the Treyarch game, I'm nervous, but I'm open. I'm always open to the new one every single year, no matter how good or bad they are.